Awesome. Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody. This is Bobby F. Parihar here, the solution artist. I'm here with my good friend, Anna T. Brooks. We're going to do a really powerful interview today. I'm super blessed to be able to connect with you. It's funny because I was you were on my mind to have a conversation with, and then life just gets in the way and things happen. And I put a list of people in my mind that I wanted to connect with, that I wanted to have there with me. And so I wanted to bring on my friend here because, life gets in the way, and sometimes, you want to work with someone and so many things start happening all at the same time. But you were on my radar, and I said, I wanted to connect with this person. I wanted to share your story, and it felt like I needed to share it, and it felt like I wanted to. Lo and behold,
Bobby, it's cutting out heaps.
So
Beautiful.
It's in the way, and basically I wanted to put you on my list of people I needed to talk to. I felt like you had a really good story and a really good offer of power to help people. And then lo and behold, you messaged me and you were like, hey, Bobby, just wanted to throw this out there. And you're collaborating, you're collecting spiritual entrepreneurs or spiritual superheroes, if you will. And I'm like, hey, me too, join my team. And you're like, join my team. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's absolutely make sure that we share. And I wanted to, it was a perfect opportunity to say, you know what? I want to have a conversation with you. My audience needs to know. My audience needs to know who you are. They absolutely need to know what you stand for and what you have to offer. And I wanted to give you that space to really truly speak your value and speak your purpose and your power, because I remember doing your chart, and I even remember your energy before I did your numerology. And I'm like, I want to work with this woman for some reason. Like, what's going on in there? Like, what happened? And I looked at your chart, and I'm just going to give people a quick little overview of what Anna is, and then I'm going to throw it over to you. Don't let the sweet smile fool you. She's got a heart that will go on. This feeling of I care a lot of others, and I will take people to the next level. There's a strong sense of leadership and almost like a spiritual sense of purpose around your sacrifice to do so. And in that, it's gonna look magical, because there's a life path 3. There's just a nice little bit of fairy dust or glitter over everything, and glitter makes the world a better place. And this is the feeling where we get a chance to see your charm and your social nature really give people a nice thing to hold on to while they're really working on something deep inside of themselves. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. I'd love to. I've got a couple of questions for you, but before we get into you talking about what you do, I'd love to know, like, how did you find yourself? Like, can you maybe just tell people what exactly is it that you do?
Yeah. So I basically align strategy and energy together into a soulful business. So I work with soulpreneurs who know that they have a deep impact, a deep message that they're here to share with the world. They're here to create a big impact in some way, but perhaps they don't really have that full clarity yet of who it is that they're trying to call in, who it is that they're meant to be speaking to. And they're having issues with visibility, with growth, with marketing, with doing things that actually feel good for them. They may have had coaches in the past or trainers in the past who got them to do all this stuff that felt really icky and just felt like, oh, I don't want to do this. And they just haven't had that breakthrough, that moment where things just start to become easier, right? They probably have wanted to get out of work most of their life, and they're sick of having to just work harder and harder. So what I do is I combine. So I'm an energetic reader, so I'm especially clairaudient. So when I can hear someone's voice, when I can hear what they're saying, I can tune into their energy very quickly, and I can feel what kind of blocks, what kind of limitations are coming up that are holding them back. So that's what I work with. Is I work with helping them find a strategy that really works for them, for their business, but in a soul-aligned way, in a way that actually makes them feel good, and in a way that creates exponential growth, right? Rather than that sort of, if I do A, B, C, I get X, Y, Z kind of linear thinking. It's that exponential of, like, if I follow what it is my soul's telling me to do, then the floodgates open, then my business grows exponentially. And that's what I do. I combine those two.
That's amazing. And I'm just stunned to think that, like, I didn't actually quite get the depth of that when I first understood what you did. I wanted to share that with people, but you've taken a very coach and sounds like business approach to something that seems very spiritual, metaphysical, or energetic. And it's a wonderful marrying of, I believe, because that's what I do. I like to think that I'm super real, but I also like to think that I'm super surreal, and like that feeling of like having that spiritual part of you and that big party. So the question that I really wanted to ask was, how did this happen? Like, what happened inside of your life that turned you like this? Was this something that was a kid, or maybe you just found your calling as an adult?
I always knew from a young age that I'm meant to be helping people on a big scale, right? I was one of those kids when everybody else was reading just like Goosebumps and like Sweet Valley High, I was picking up Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, and I was like 7 years old. It just wasn't normal. But that's when I knew that there was just something about this that absolutely spoke to me. And I went into it I went through kind of personal training type thing. So it was a health and fitness kind of growth, and I tried helping people there. And that's when I started to realize, once again, it all comes down to mindset. If someone's mindset isn't right, if someone's alignment and their energy isn't right, they can show up and they can do the work over and over and over, and nothing's friggin' happening. So that was basically, that was my moment where I just went, oh my gosh, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to help people with. And then it was a bit of an evolution for me, honestly, stepping up and actually claiming that part of that leadership that I always felt like I'm going to help other entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs more specifically. So not just people who want to, buy the books, generic business, but people who have a real deep soul message from their business and want to help. But I think I wasn't really ready to step up and lead in the way that I have, more recently, because I did a lot of clearing, a lot of healing work, and working with some amazing coaches myself, which really helped me to step up. And that was part of what I realized is I have that ability now with my clients, that I help them to step up and realize they have that power within them. They don't need to do anything else. And that was kind of where it escalated and grew. And then straight away, I just knew this is exactly where I'm meant to be. And it was that moment that I talk about when it's like the floodgates open, and suddenly, all of these things that used to be so hard, getting engagement on your posts, getting things out to people, getting people responding, getting people messaging you, all this stuff that felt so difficult for so long was just natural now. And that was when I was like, holy shit, this is what I love. This is what I want to teach. This is what I want to help people with, because I know how much it means, right? I know how much it means to those people because it meant that much to me.
It's crazy to look at this. I mean, from let's say an audience perspective, there you can see the leadership, you can see the passion, you can see the love that you bring to this. But looking at your chart, I'm looking at your birthday, I'm looking at your name, and I'm seeing a giant soul. Like I don't know if you've really recognized your old soul, and funny, at the age of 7, you pick up Awaken the Giant Within. To think that your birthday and your name speak of this, I'm going to help other people vibration, which is nice to see. Well, it makes us feel even safer that you've accepted the calling, you've accepted the road. But talk a little bit about that, because as a coach, you got coaching. As a coach, you got things worked on. So I know the answer to this because I'm a coach too. You have to work on yourself. You can't just show up and say I'm going to fix you without really going in deep within who you are. So can we pause on that, right at that level, to think what were you dealing with that was holding you back from creating this new success? Is this something that's happening recently for you? I don't know. From the way I see, I've always admired you for this power. I don't know when it started showing up for you though.
It's been recently. It's been this year really that it's kind of unlocked, and specifically since I started working with one particular business coach that I knew she's my person. I need to work with her. And but really, like the soul thing, I'm just trying to put it into words. For me, it was a big lesson that I had to go through, and healing that I had to go through because of my purpose here on earth, and also the lessons that I have been given and the opportunities I've had for growth with my upbringing, with certain difficulties going through with my parents and the way that I was raised. I was raised to take on a lot of responsibility for everybody else, including my parents. They couldn't take care of themselves. I had to take care of them. And that, coupled with the fact that my soul mission is to serve, is to help, is to empower. When those two get combined and I don't get to actually understand that I'm not responsible for anybody else's success, I'm not responsible for anybody else's happiness, that was my big lesson, to find that beautiful middle ground and that beautiful balance of being in my power and being able to help and being able to serve and pull this leadership and this help out of people so that they can step up, but not to go to the point of, I'm going to lay it all on the line for you. I'm going to take all of the responsibility. If you don't succeed, it's my fault. If you succeed, it's your doing. And basically that's martyr type of thing. So I did a lot of shadow work. I did a lot of work on different aspects of my soul that I've taken on, and things like the beggar archetype, the martyr archetype was heavy in there. And that was something that I really had to heal, because as long as that was in there, I wasn't actually able to help and serve. I was coming from a place of, I want you to like me. I want you to, to validate me and make me feel like I'm good enough, that I'm making enough of a difference in your life, rather than empowering the person to actually make the difference in their life. And that showed with the people that I used to work with who weren't really ready to step up and who weren't really ready to take responsibility for their own life, versus the clients that I have now that are just completely, yep, I'm ready, I'm going to do the work, and they're so grateful, and there's that graciousness and that gratitude constantly flowing, and so everything's improving. As soon as they implement something, it starts flowing more, because of that, because I stepped into my own power and said, no, I'm not here to fix you. That's your responsibility. Not that anyone needs to be fixed, actually. That's one of the terminologies I hate. But yeah, nobody, I'm not here to take responsibility for your life. You get to do that. And it's so empowering to see people actually be able to step into that, when I step away from being, oh my God, I need you to like me, because I don't. I need to be able to serve my purpose. And that sometimes means I need to be what you need to hear, not what I'm not here to pat you on the head and tell you you're a good little boy or girl. Hopefully someone in your life can do that, but that's not going to be me. So, and that was, I laugh about it now, but that was one of the most painful things for me to go through, because that need and that ingrained feeling of, I need to do whatever it takes for people to like me, was so deep within me that it kept me blocked for years. And that was why I was kind of half into this, half into that, and not really just owning what it is that I'm here to do.
It's crazy. I remember when we met, I pulled your chart from my scratch pad, and it was at the beginning of quarter one of 2018. We're in like quarter three, I think, or something, or quarter, like the third, second, whatever, 2019. It's been a year and a half later. And to see how much you've grown, and to see how much you've changed, how much you're embodying your energy and embodying your mastery and your power, it's cool, because cool is an understatement. It's amazing, because on one side, it's like you've got the cool looking nails, right? You're still wanting to enjoy the little girl part of you that just wants to look like a woman, right? But on the other side, it's like, man, wait till she opens her mouth. She's going to say something extremely powerful. And it's almost like moving all of this stuff away cleared up the spiritual gateway for the communication that you're supposed to have. But it's interesting looking at your chart again. I'm like, this is an old soul, guys. This isn't someone who's just trying to do a coaching business. A coaching business is just a front for the spiritual work that she does for you. And you called it soulpreneurs. Is that like a thing you have to sign up for? Or is that just the type of entrepreneur that you work with? Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, I feel like it's always called in exactly who I'm meant to speak to. If I say soulpreneur, people who are already, ready to be my client, they know exactly what that means. Or I elaborate on it a little bit, but when I make it very clear that I'm not here to, work with you if you're just a paid by numbers kind of entrepreneur who just wants a strategy, couldn't give a shit about their clients, just give me the numbers and here we go. Right. Go work with someone else. I'm not into that. That's separating my life from my life purpose, and that's not something that interests me whatsoever. When people ask me, how many days a week do you work? Well, I don't know, 8 days, 27 hours a day. Like it's it's my life and my life purpose are the same thing. It's not a separation, and it's the same thing with the clients I work with. My self-care, my self-love, all of that is encompassed into my business. It's not a separation of, okay, well, now I'm working, now I'm having, life balance. No. And so it's the same thing with the entrepreneurs I work with. They are ready to have that as well, to have their business be about their passion and be about their life, where they don't feel like they need a break from their work, basically, because their work is just them being themselves. So That's the soulpreneur.
Honestly, it's tough because you know, a lot of you're speaking on behalf of transcendent energy. What you're, because you know, where you were looking at, oh, needs to be liked, needs to be accepted, or needs the approval, or has to take care of everyone, and you know, especially when you're talking about your parents being like, I had to do that for them, and that's kind of a shorthanded move to do to a little girl to have her in the maturity position right up front. So to think that you rose out of that, you rose to the occasion, to the challenge, and made it your opportunity and to move through it. I just want to really let everybody listening, everybody watching this know how freaking important that is, because not everybody triumphs over the shadow that they live in or the underside of the safety that they hide from. You decided that wasn't, like, I guess what we're looking at, a tale of two women, the little girl side of you and the don't get it twisted, she's a queen, and that part of you is like, I'm going to do something for the world. I'm glad I like to see which side won. That's a nice feeling. But so you work with, you say, you mentioned something about the people you work with. You work with people who have not been in business before. Do you also work with people who have, obviously you work with people who are seasoned veterans in business as well, but the game kind of changes. I know this. I talk to someone differently when they've never been in business before, and I talk to someone completely differently when, of course, they're like deep inside of their business. Do your work, you go both ways, or you try to migrate more into the, like, because I look at your numbers, I'm like, she's gonna teach the leaders, she's gonna teach the bigger people here. It's nice to help someone, but she's looking for the people who are gonna absolutely change the world, and I want to open up to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with early entrepreneurs, people who know that they've, got a message to share, but they're not quite clear on what it is, because I'm really good at knocking through that clarity, really defining what they need to do and helping them to get started in a way that grows their business, effectively and quickly as well. Things like collapsing time, that's always fun. So, doing all of that is really fun. And I enjoy that because I know what that's like, right? When you just have that message within you and it's really deep and it's really passionate, but you just can't seem to get it out of you. I love that. It lights me up. But I know very quickly and very deeply when I even just, interview, I guess, the person or talk to the person before I choose to work with them, whether or not they actually have that within them right now, that they are ready to step into that leadership position. It doesn't matter where they're at. It doesn't matter if they haven't actually started anything yet. That's fine. I can feel where they're at and I can feel what's going to come of this, basically. So I know that over time it is going to evolve. Like, obviously, it's only been maybe a few months now of actually stepping into this realm, and it's gone very quickly and blown up very quickly. But over time, that's going to expand, right? So I'm getting lots more support and lots more content now for the kind of early entrepreneurs and that kind of thing. That's going to become a lot more automated. There's going to be a lot more support for them available as well. And then I get to, step up and work with more and more leaders. And that's something that I'm working with right now, especially, in a couple of businesses that I know. There's people that have kind of, maybe even from like a network marketing or a MLM type background, where they've kind of gotten to a certain level, but they just don't feel like they've broken through. They're like, I'm on that edge, right? I'm about to kind of go really, really fast and grow an amazing team, or my business is about to explode, but I've just built it up to here really slowly and it's kind of hovering. And so that's something that I really love to work with as well, is to help them to then embody that leader and once again activate the energy that's behind that to actually move it forward, rather than going about it, the cart pulling the horse kind of thing, where you're just trying to get the strategies down and trying to do all these things, and then you're doing all these trainings and you've just got more things to do on your to-do list. It's that same thing, the cart's pulling the horse. No, get the energy right, get the mindset right, get the alignment right, and then let the horse lead the way, because it'll do it.
So I'm trying to pull this back in together. Like, help me out here. You're listening to me speak, and you're able to tell me what challenges I'm going through by the way that I sound.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, we're not going to talk about it though. We're just going to leave it to the side.
Well, I need your permission first. I don't just do it randomly, because that's a drain on my energy. I make that rule for myself, that if someone doesn't give me permission, I don't want a bar of it.
I'm fascinated. I'm actually fascinated right now, because I know the two different camps that you're speaking from. One speaks on strategy. It speaks on actual practical real world stuff to actually consume. And this other part is this deeper knowing where you're like, you call it clairaudient. Is that
Yeah,
how?
yeah.
So
It's yeah.
yeah. So
It's
you're
kind
really,
of
go for it.
explaining, I guess. Yeah, clairaudient is something I've only actually put the words to very recently, like in the last few weeks. I didn't even know that that was what was going on. I just really, for some reason, I heard so many coaches over time say things like, oh, don't do so many one-on-one calls. That's a drain on your time. You're going to run out of time to do them and everything. But within me, I knew that's what I wanted. I don't care if I have to up my rates to do it. I need to talk to the person directly. I don't want to just have messenger support with my clients. And it wasn't until recently that somebody actually said that. And I looked it up and I went, oh, so that's what's going on. When I speak to someone, I can literally work through whatever it is they're going through without them even knowing, just purely because I can hear things in their tone, in their voice. And then my energy, my, guides, my source comes through me to heal them. And that's why, like, there's a particular session that I do called a breakthrough session, which is the first session I ever do with any of my clients. All of them do this when they work with me one-on-one. And it's a 90-minute session. It's really full on. It's really intense. Most people, actually every single person who's ever done this is completely just like exhausted and needs to go to bed straight afterwards. Because while we're doing a lot of strategy and we do visualizations and we do some really deep stuff, what they don't understand is that entire 90 minutes, I prep myself before it and I'm channeling, and there is energy coming through and there is healing and there is things being opened that they've already, allowed me to do, obviously. But they're so not used to energy work on that level that it can be really full on. And then within that, that first week after that, there's a lot going on. There's things being processed. There's, crying out of nowhere for no apparent reason. There's joy out of nowhere. There's like sudden motivation or sudden drain wherever they happen to be with having to release some things. But that's exactly what happens. And in that 90 minutes, despite all of the surface stuff that's going on that we're speaking about, it's all the underlying things that are going on. And yeah, the easiest way to explain it is I feel energy. There's people who can see things. There's people who can hear things. I literally feel it. It's like even if I'm doing an energetic reading on someone and just tuning into what source has for them, it comes through as, I say it as words, but I feel the words. I don't hear them. I don't have them pop up in my mind. I'm literally just staring out somewhere and I can feel the words form within me. And so that's the easiest way to explain it. I think everybody has different ways that they communicate and different ways that they're able to process things. But yeah, and that's why I love, when I work with my clients one-on-one, I do want to talk to them. I do want to have those one-on-one calls because that's when the biggest transformation happens for them as well, because they get that benefit of those things coming through where it's like, okay, they've got half an hour with me, but they've also got half an hour with source energy directly working through me behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, I'd like to just sort of reiterate, and I guess this is more advice or for you as you go through life. You're growing through a life of mastery. So like, just really remember that when I'm looking at your chart, I'm stunned and I'm just like, yes. From the name that you were born with to the name that you hold legally now to your birthday, there's this evolution, evolving of who you are. And it almost feels as if you've turned your spiritual awareness on, this ear that's like sort of like comes up out of nowhere that can actually like take in energy and take in vibe. But very, very cool. And I would just, it's easy to say don't give up because you're just still bubbling up on your gifts. So it's a nice thing to say thank you for actually like taking that on. It's surprising to think it's only been a few months for you. And here we are. And I would consider, our humble beginnings. To think that we're going to create something extraordinarily powerful in life. I know I am, and I know I felt that inside of when I was looking at your chart. And I look, even your birthday, it says you can't make this up. When I look at someone's name, I'm looking at the vowels, the consonants, and the total. When I look at your birthday, it literally says Queen in it in terms of how I measure numerology. And that's something that will come to maturity when, long into the future, right? In the meantime, you're experiencing that journey, you're experiencing that growth and that going through, and we appreciate the love that you give to your clients and just that you pour into your craft. And I know that it's a way of mitigating some of that spiritual energy overload, download that's coming through you It's just absolutely fascinating because on the other side, non-assuming, very sweet, it's okay, super loving, very lovely, and like you use it as your human little sign that you put up in front that says, you know, nothing to see here. And if someone steps through this mystical, magical veil, they get a chance to see you in your absolute truth. And I would like to think that's like an attendance price or a workshop price or a coaching fee that says, no, I'm going to sit down and take this seriously. And then they're going to get wowed and absolutely like transformed, as you say. I do not absolutely deny that or doubt that for a minute. I'd love to know, what does your coaching look like? Like, you've got a breakthrough session, people work with you a lot, or do they work with you once and they're good? Do you usually go for programs with people? Like, I guess everyone's different.
Yeah, no, I like having different levels because everybody's at a different point. So I have a group, like a monthly membership that people can join where they get weekly trainings from me. They get a weekly energetic reading from me in there as well, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the lower end for people who are just, you know, wanting to get some sort of touch with me and get some sort of work with me. And then from there, it really varies. So I have, you know, shorter type time frames. If someone's, you know, this is for the people that already have a business quite strongly going, or they have an idea very formulated and they just need to get the ins and outs worked out. So that can be a shorter time frame of like 2 weeks where we have like a breakthrough call and then some messenger follow on, that kind of thing. So it's short and sharp. But that's for very specific people. They need to be fast action takers and they need to be able to keep up with that pace. But for most people, it can vary anywhere from about 6 weeks to 3 months in the kind of coaching packages I come up with. They always start with, that 90-minute breakthrough session. Because that's just what's required to get them on that energy and get them to actually start releasing a lot of the stuff that's going to come up, because that always happens. If you've never worked with a coach, it's something that surprises most people. They think, oh, great, I've started this work, things are going to start picking up. And then for the first, 2, 3, whatever it is, weeks, everything just goes to shit. And they don't understand what's going on. And it's an up leveling, right? People always say, oh, the universe is testing me. No, what the universe is doing is you've aligned to your higher vision, and it's now showing you all the things that are in the way so that you can clear them to get to that vision. But we like to say universe is testing me because we think it sounds fun or something, but the universe loves you. It wants to give you everything. So when you ask for it and you align with it and your energy's there, it can feel like it's being a little bit of an asshole and like just poking you to like make it harder and make it worse. But it loves you so much and it wants you to step up. And so it wants to bring everything to you and go, this is in the way, this is in the way, this is in the way. Go deal with these things because you're on your way. And when we get to embrace that and lean into that, which with the help of a good coach makes it a lot easier to process, when you have someone who can actually go, hey, this is what's going on, take a step back, lean into it, let it be. And that's what we do. And so it's usually like, maybe one call a week or so, depending who it is that I'm working with, messenger support, and that sort of thing. So depending on how long we need to work with. And most of my clients do then end up being repeat clients because they've obviously got their results in that particular space that we worked in, and then they're ready to go the next level, and we come up with another package for them at that point. But that's essentially the kind of support they get from me, is the messenger support. Energetic support is a big part as well that I started implementing at the start of this year. I didn't used to do this because I doubted my own abilities. And then I started doing, free readings and things like that on my live streams. And the people that were commenting were just like, holy shit, how did you know this? Like, just little things that I would say that would come out of nowhere. And they're like, oh my gosh, like this is something from my childhood that nobody else has ever known about. So that was when I was like, okay, maybe I need to combine these two things. And that's something that I lead with now as well, is I make sure if I'm, speaking with someone who wants to be a client, I make it clear that yes, we're going to talk strategy. Yes, we're going to talk techniques and how you're actually going to, the steps and things like that. But you're also going to get my energetic support, which means, if you're having a hard day, you get to message me and ask me what's going on. Can you feel in? Can you pull an oracle card for me? Can you see what's going on here? Or can I just have some guidance around this and I can tune in? And if they don't want that support, I'm probably not the right coach for them. If they don't want any kind of energetic support and energetic alignment work, then it's just not going to work. They're not going to get the results from me, and it's not going to feel good for me. So I just don't take it on in the first place.
At your age. it's nice to see that you've really grown into it, because most of these things are like in the face of your numbers. Like you have to recognize it. Like there's going to be like to think that you've conquered that makes us feel pretty safe. I would like to absolutely, this is why I wanted to have you on here. So I'm like, I think people that I know need to know about what you're doing and how to work with you. So what do we do? Just go to your website, or I guess there's a social media to find you, or how?
Yeah, social media is the easiest because everything's everything's on there. My personal profile is public. My business page is obviously public. I have a free group as well called Leaders Not Lemmings, and so that's my free group that I have lots of content in there as well in terms of free trainings around all sides of business and confidence and mindset that people can access. And I literally have people like their entire businesses changing just from the free content that I offer. So it's so it's awesome. So basically, through my business page, through my personal page, through my group Leaders Not Lemmings, you can go check out what I do and feel into me, and then send me a message.
Absolutely, I would definitely recommend that for sure. And it's interesting because here I am thinking I want to have these conversations with people like you. I want to find people out there who are absolutely committed to raising leaders and growing people, and absolutely like helping them move through some of the weirder things that you can't really quantify in life. And they're just sort of like stuff that's happened in a past life or part of your family. We absorb their energy, or we're empathic and don't know what's left from right. And to have someone there holding your hand who's kind of like, look, I'm holding a flashlight for us. Let's go. It's a wonderful feeling. And it's nice because here I am with my little flashlight, my numerology kit. I'm helping people find themselves, and I see your little light coming down the road. I'm like, hey, cool. Wow. We have a little tiny, flashlight panel, and it's like, oh man, this is so cool to be able to connect and to build that community. Because what I'm looking for people to collaborate with. I want to be able to find those who are on my path. And even as I say that, it's 4:44 my local time. It's a conversation around foundation of thinking, what are we doing here? And that's one of the questions that I had for you, is that, does this play part and parcel to a larger master plan of yours? You kind of just like, because you knew all the while that you were going to help people. It sounds like you're really stepping into your power now. And I'm like, after this, what's next? I mean, you're going to do like retreats and events and books and stuff. Like, what's on the big ticket items for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always known and felt very deeply that I love speaking, hence why I do like live streams all the time. I love it. So definitely speaking like on big stages, helping lots of people, helping raise the energy, because having that energy in a room with thousands of people is just so powerful, right? So that's definitely a big thing. Retreats, absolutely. To be working more, intimately with people one-on-one. I've done like VIP days as well. That's another way that I do work with people in person. VIP days one-on-one, where they basically just get me, from morning to evening. We go really deep. We go, into all the different things that they need, whether it's business, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's relationships, whatever it is. So that's really fun. But obviously for, energetic reasons, I need to limit the amount that I do that, because that is full on to take on that much energy in a day. So so that's basically the big dream here, is to keep going into more speaking, more retreats, more one-on-ones, just expand and expand. And this is exactly why I wanted to connect and have a database of healers and amazing coaches and people in different streams of specialties that I don't work in, because that's one thing that's really important to me is, to master something, you need to master something. Don't try and do everything. Instead, have a collection of people, like yourself, who are masters in their craft, in what they can bring, and then combine that together, right? Because we're all connected. We're all here to connect. Not going to do it on our own. And the idea of, being able to have a retreat or something, or have a program that I'm offering, and as part of it go, yep, you're also going to get an in-depth session with Bobby with that, because he's going to run your numbers. He's going to go through some of the deeper things about your soul and about your alignment and where your, what your purpose here is. Whereas I'm going to focus on different things, and to have that combined is just, it's incredible, right? Because it's that 360 view that you start to get. And the more kind of support that you get, because I've had so many different coaches, so many different healers, so many different modalities, and they all have played a part, right? And the more that you can encompass all of that, you know, you don't have to work with everyone all at once. I definitely don't encourage that in any way, shape, or form, because it's very confusing and draining. But there's a time and a place for it all. And to have, you know, a coach like yourself and a coach like myself to, you know that your clients can reach out and go, you know what, I'd actually really like to work with someone in this realm, or I'd like to look into this. Do you know anyone? And to be able to say, yes, this is Bobby, this is whoever, you need to go see them. They are the best at this. This is exactly what they specialize in. And to have that authenticity and that integrity to say that is huge, because that's the thing. If we're going to lead businesses that are authentic and that are in integrity with us, everything that we do needs to be. And that means actually having that authentic connection that our clients can trust us with this. And that's huge. And that's exactly why, you know, especially with you, like I had my numbers and everything run with you last year. And at the time, I didn't even realize like how much things would actually change and how much things would actually shift. I was like, it's an extra letter and it's already part of my name. and yeah, it wasn't that. It was the same thing that I talk about, is that there's things that happen on the surface level when we're talking and things that you hear. And then there's the energetic stuff that's going on behind the scenes. There's the energy that you're downloading, that you're transmitting. There's things being shifted that I'm not even aware of at the time. And it's working with people on that level that actually gets that growth, right? So yeah, big dreams and big collaborations, right? Because the more, this is something I wish someone had told me earlier, the more you connect, the more you collaborate with other leaders, the faster you rise. Stop trying to do it all yourself. Get a coach, get a healer, get support. And that was a big lesson for me as well, right? That massive independent streak of I have to do it all myself. I'm responsible for everything. Nah, so much easier and so much more fun.
So we're good with the name. It's Anna T.
We're so good.
Yeah,
Anna T. Brooks.
Yeah. And I mean, that's who you are. That's actually your name. Sometimes I work with someone and I give them a funny looking letter, and even Anna Brooks works on its own, right? And so we know that name worked good, but now this one's kind of shifted you into a new direction, maybe very slightly, but it's authentic to you. You got a chance to roll into it, really, instead of showing up being like Anna X Brooks or something different. Now you get a chance to actually show up and say, hey, look, this is who I am. I was destined to be this. I have this value inside of me, and it's a blessing to see you open up to to the honor of your gifts, because this is what the world needs, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. And I'm like, preach, because I know as you get older, you're only going to grow in wisdom and only going to grow in power. But you're collecting like raving fans behind you, people who are going to be like, yes, I've got results. Absolutely. And even just hearing you speak, it feels like there's like different codes of communication that are coming down in the peripheral. And it feels like I'm just getting this really big download. Like for anybody who's kind of wondering what's going on with this woman, how come she's so amazing? I'm not going to say that this is the reason why, but you have a name path 11. So there's a spiritual communicator that's going to antenna all the way up to the very, very top, and then bring it back down and make it real in a coach format. But it doesn't want to just, and no offense to the people that you could just help out the single use, client, but there is the gateway client that says, if I unlock this person, they go on to help millions, or they go on to help a lot of people, or they go on to heal a lot of things that are happening within themselves. And this is, I believe, why a really big part of your message is very super spiritual. Also another reason why I really wanted to connect and do this. But yes, I'm already brainstorming things. Perhaps maybe I can, feature you on a private call, or maybe, we can do a small little group thing where, we can invite people in there, and that's really what I really wanted to do. I was like, I get a chance to brainstorm with Anna and really put this thing together, because I feel like the world, it's like having two candles, you put them together and the flame becomes bigger. So the same thing that we're relying on each other and inside of our superhero team, like to network is a really big thing. So I absolutely give my stamp of endorsement for sure. I have yet to go through your coaching and your training. So as a client of mine, I would love to be a client of yours and see what you see and, help me through things, because I got a lot of stuff going on, like a lot of self-worth, a lot of can I do this? And, the same thing that beats everybody up every day is like, am I on the right path? And I got to look at my astrology chart, look at my numerology chart, look at myself in the mirror and be like, no, I am powerful. And it's in the power I see in you that validates the power that I have in me. I'm like, see, I know she's really powerful because it takes one to know one. Like when you see that truth in there, I'm like, oh man, you're speaking words right from my diary. And it's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. So what kind of advice do you give to people? Like, let's give people a sneak peek. Okay. So let's say you're working with someone and I have my list of things that people come to me for. What's usually is there like a common conversation that someone's dealing with around the first time you have a breakthrough call with them?
Yeah, there's a few. One of them is probably I work with a lot of, it comes down to who I am, and therefore I will attract people who energetically are going through similar things that I went through. So therefore I attract a lot of people who, especially females who have spent the majority of their life in a very masculine energy. They've had to take on a lot of responsibility and they're very hardworking, they're very action taking, they're very hustling kind of energy, and they're not getting the results they want. So there's a big conversation always and a lot of release around stepping more into that feminine energy, some things that I had to do and that I had to learn for myself, which was so powerful because it's that difference between the constantly giving, doing type energy and the receiving, allowing energy. And when you're constantly in that masculine and you're hustling and you're grinding and you're working and you're action taking, you're pushing so much energy away that you're not receiving. So allowing yourself to actually take that and work on that energy and this can work for guys as well. I just haven't had guys in this particular realm yet, but it definitely works both ways because especially with a lot of the masculine type energy, there's a lot of toxic masculinity that a lot of guys have grown up with, where they think that masculinity looks a certain way and they're wondering why nothing's working, why they're not happy, why their business isn't working, why their relationships are constantly dramatic, all of these kind of things. And it's the same thing. It's finding that balance and finding that centeredness in that energy. So that masculine, feminine energy is something that we work on a lot, and it's really fun because it's literally about finding things, especially when you're tuning into the feminine. It's about just releasing and just doing what feels good. So figuring out those things that make you feel just really happy and joyful and good in the moment, rather than I have to do this, here's my to-do list. It's just to let your soul take the reins. And so that's always really fun to see how people actually transform from something so simple. So that's something that quite often works. And I would say mostly it's clarity, right? So my clients tend to lack clarity on who it is that they're speaking to and how to be really clear so that their audience understands how they can actually help them, because they feel like they're showing up, they're saying all the things, they're speaking their message, and yet no one's connecting, no one's really engaging in any sort of way. So it's that breakthrough between being confident in what you're saying, in what your message is, but also translating it into a way where your audience actually understands what you're doing, right? Because this is something, again, that I struggled with for so long. My throat chakra has been one of my strongest chakras my entire life, right? I am not scared to say what I think. I'm not scared to speak up. I'm not scared to speak my truth. It never worried me. But I was speaking, but nobody was listening. And that's a really powerful thing to actually start to realize that it goes both ways. It's not just about speaking. It's about actually being able to speak in a way that you are heard, speak and communicate effectively, not just, yes, I can show up and speak my truth, yay, but no one's listening. So that's a powerful thing, because I've been through that. I've been on the receiving end of, years and years of showing up daily for live streams and posting constantly and writing however long blogs constantly, and nobody was engaging, nobody was liking, nobody was commenting. It seemed like nobody cared, right? And I was showing up, I was doing all the work, I was consistent, I was hustling, I was grinding, all of these things, and it wasn't working. And so that was where, that work on the feminine energy, which is something that I help with so much, and also then how to actually effectively speak or effectively post, and how to actually speak to your audience in a way that they really understand. That is a big part of what I do and what I help with, because then as soon as you do that, it's fast. You have, those people that say, oh, I was posting, nothing was happening. And then I did this one post and boom, Well, that's a thing, right? That's just an energy shift. It's not your post was something so amazingly different or anything like that. It was an energy shift that happened that led you to write that post or led you to do that live stream. And so it's that shift that I work in, because I know what it's like to be stuck in that loop of feeling like you're doing all the things and getting none of the result. And so that's one of the most common things. And then one other thing would be confidence. I've never much lacked for confidence, but it's something that I have much lacked in self-worth and self-acceptance. Wow. So whilst most people will look at me and go, oh, she's so confident, you know, she shows up, she speaks what she wants to say, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true. But there was a lot of underlying self-worth stuff where I wasn't letting that filter down. I wasn't letting you see the real me. I was letting you see section of me, a persona of me. And that's what I see a lot of people do online now, is they show up the way they think they should, what they think people want to see. And so they're not actually connecting authentically with anyone. Nobody's actually seeing the real them. They're not actually able to create that real connection. And so that's a big thing, to actually be confident in who you are, rather than just confident in, you know, whatever it is that you want to express. That's great. But if you don't have that confidence within you, it's always a veil, and it's always, and it comes across. The physical manifestation of that is, why is no one reaching out to me? Why is no one wanting to work with me? Why is no one commenting? And you think that it's something wrong with your strategy, when really it's your energy. You're so scared to be hurt. You're scared people won't like you, because it's a basic human need, right, to want to be liked. But you don't have that confidence to be like, okay, that's cool. If they hate me, they hate me. That's fine. That's on them. That's not on me. It's a hard thing to overcome at times. And so that's something that I work with and help people with. So I know what their physical manifestations are. I know what's showing up in their business and how it's, you know, showing up for them, and what their struggle is. I'm not seen. I'm not getting results. People aren't reaching out to me. I'm not getting comments on my stuff. I'm not getting sales through. Yep, that's all the physical stuff. But here's, you know, what's going on. It's the confidence. It's the energy, the masculine, feminine energy that's going on, or it's the self-worth stuff that's going on. So they're very much the recurring ones, and I love them. I love them because to see the transformation that happens, I can't get sick of it. Like, it's one of those things that you're like, could I eat the same food every day? Well, I could literally coach the same thing every day, because the transformation that I see when that happens is just, it's mind-blowing, and it's soul-blowing, actually.
It really is. And it's just, even just hearing you say that, it's just like, it brings that crystal tear to my eye, thinking like, this is my story. Like, you know, like working so hard, not getting it figured out, not figuring out what I needed to do. And here you are, like, just setting up shop, being like, look, if this is you, let's have a chat. So I believe that it's only fair that we come back for another round 2 after I've actually had my experience. I get a chance to see the admiration from the window out. And then when we do this again, it'll be from a completely different perspective, because I'm going to be like, oh my God, look at my transformation. And this feeling absolutely grow, because I feel it. I feel my audience, because when I'm listening to you, I'm like, what's my audience going to think when they see this? Like, what are they going to feel? And that's usually something, a mantra that I always say to myself when I'm listening to someone is, how does this make me feel? Like, what is this bringing up in me? What is the people that we work with, that we work around, going to experience from this? And I'm feeling this, like, this tingle in my eye, and I'm feeling this tear come through, and I'm like, oh man, that frustration of self-worth and the fake sense of confidence. I don't even want to call it fake. I want to call it like the front sense of confidence, where the back door is kind of like left open, and I don't know where my energy is being stolen from, but still business is up. We're up for business up front. And it's amazing. And you made it so you've been a really strong, actually, you've been doing this a few times where you show the mastery over your numbers, and to see that, hey, maybe at one point you would have been more focused on, you know, other people, or what people think of you, or whatever it is shows up for you. But it kind of brings things to perspective a little bit, to think, oh my God, you were supposed to go through all that crap so that when you became a freaking boss, you'd have your street credit and everyone would for sure know. And I can see it right in your chart. You're, in my opinion, it's funny because you're saying this is happening a few months old. So I'm like, on one side, you're just starting. but on the other side, it's like a really old soul. And on another side, it's been a long time coming. And on another side, you're at the beginning of your journey. And it's crazy to think how mature you are for how young your energy still feels and looks and appreciates. And it's gonna really be a pleasurable experience for people to work with you for sure. I'm super excited that we did this. This is gonna turn into some more stuff. I want to have you again. I really do want to talk more about this as well. Helping people move through this stuff, as you say, like for me too, like transformation is everything. And when we can help someone have it, and you see someone and they're like making big bucks, so they're doing big things with their life, and we were there as a coach, it's our win as well. And I think that there is a group of people who need our curriculum, and whether it be I package a bunch of you guys together and we all go through one course where everyone gets a one-on-one training with you or something, whatever it is. But I know for me, there's retreats. I know that there's going to be bigger things that we have to do and events that we have to create. And it's going to be a pleasure to watch that as well, for sure. So what kind of advice do you have for someone who's, not going to give up and they just can't quite seem to pinpoint what it is, what's bothering them or what's holding them back? They've got that pull, like as you say, there's the reaction and then there's something that's really happening underneath. What would you say to that person?
Get really quiet and listen to yourself. That was the fastest way that things started to shift for me, and that I see shift in people, is when they have that moment where they realize, I got to stop with the planning, I've got to stop with the to-do list, I've got to stop with the actions and what I need to do, and I need to just listen to my gut, to my intuition, right? But that thing that just comes up when out of nowhere, and it'll tell you, I just need to go over here, I just need to go talk to this person, I just need to do this thing. But it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't come from a thought, it doesn't come from a to-do list, it doesn't come from the list that you have of things to do. It just comes when you're quiet, and suddenly you'll get an inkling to go do something or go talk to someone. That is my number one thing. When you start listening to your intuition above all of the noise everywhere else of what people will tell you to do and what suggestions they have for you and what trainings they have for you, when you start being able to listen to you is when things will start to shift, because ultimately you have that message within you. You already feel that. You've already known that probably for quite a long time, right? Like I knew that from the moment that I could formulate actual thoughts in my mind. I was telling anybody and everybody who would listen that I'm going to be on stage, I'm going to be the next Tony Robbins, I'm going to be, all of these things. As a kid, I knew that. So let your soul guide you, right? Don't stop shutting it down, because the world, the way that we grow up, we so often get taught to shut these things down, right? Because it doesn't make logical sense, right? That's not the responsible thing to do. You should go do your pros and cons and make decisions based on that. No, your soul, your gut, your instinct always knows where it is that you're meant to go, where it is that you're meant to be, how it is that you're meant to get there. It has the path of least resistance all set out for you. But when you don't listen to it and you put obstacles in the way because something says, oh, I need to reach out to this coach. Oh, but no, I don't have that money. I don't have this right now. This isn't in place. I need to make sure I've done these things first. And you let your logical mind talk you out of that. You literally set up obstacles on this path to least resistance, right? And I know that path very well. One of the healers, this is just a little funny thing, one of the healers that I've worked with, she literally said, she got an image of basically what I'd done for myself is, here I am, here's my goal. And rather than just going straight to it, I'd set up this really intricate jungle gym of how I have to get through this part here and then go over this way and then back over here and then over through there, instead of just going straight there. And that's when she said that, I'm like, holy shit, that's exactly what I feel like. I feel like it's right there. I can see how close it is. I can see how easy this should be. But I've literally made my own jungle gym to make myself go through all of this struggle to get there first, right? So, and that's that logical brain coming in, is that logical brain trying to tell you, oh no, this isn't responsible, this isn't the right way to do it, my parents won't approve of this, my partner won't approve of this, whatever it is. When you start tuning into you, and that just starts with getting silent. And that can be the hardest thing for anyone to do, is to just shut up and listen to something inside of themselves and not to anything outside of themselves. So that would be my suggestion. Start with that.
I feel like I need to take this advice.
Maybe that's why it's coming through.
Well, yeah, and I'm like, what? And like asking for a friend, it's just this feeling
Yeah.
of like being able to understand this. And because when you're speaking to it, it literally feels like you're just playing on the inside of my heart here. I'd love to give you something. I want to give you a little insight because I do numerology and I look at stuff.
Mm.
This part of the conversation we haven't had yet, but there's such a thing as a cycle. There's such a thing as and we know cycles from the beginning to the end, and then we start all over again. Like we experience one every single day. You're going through this year a 9-year conclusion. So all of your gifts and all of your tools and all of the things and everything you've connected and taken with you, it's about to start brand new. And you're going, and I'm like right there with you because I have very similar numbers here to think that you're about to start what you're really about to start, like what you're really here to really get done. Like this is what you do in your 30s. This is absolutely what you do inside of your young entrepreneur woman mode. And to think that you're about to embark on a 10-year journey. And I'm calling it here first. She's going to be a very, very powerful woman in a few very, very short amount of time. But there's this calm before the storm, if you will, this graduation that we're experiencing now. You're in a 9-year, which is to think that, hey, I've made it. I've concluded. I figured it out. I found my business. And when I was in that time of my life, this is where I found my business. This is where I found, the love of my life. And now that I'm looking towards my new decade, it's like, what are we going to really do? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on like if you've put, I guess it would kind of be doubling over, but maybe even a simple yes or no would do. I'd love it if you wanted to share with us what your 10-year vision, your 10-year goal, this next decade, have you put some thought into what's going to happen for you? I know we kind of sprinkled onto it a little bit earlier with events and stuff, but do you want to speak on that and just prove to us that you've been paying attention to your future here?
Yeah. The funny thing is, last year when, so my husband and I, we went completely location free last year and traveled 6 months through Europe. And part of where we stayed, one of the places we stayed was Budapest in Hungary. And this was my 3rd time returning. The first time I went there was literally me when I first had my own independence. And I felt like, oh my gosh, that was the first moment sitting across the water, looking at the Parliament building in Budapest, where I had this download of intuition. I didn't know what it was back then. And it said, whatever happens, you can always just start over. Right? No matter what, don't be scared. Take the big things. No matter what, if you end up on the street, whatever, you can always start over. You will always be taken care of. And I was just like, whoa. I think I was like 20 at the time. I'm like, oh no, I really don't feel like starting anything over right now. I was in uni. I had everything worked out. But whatever, I remembered that even though I didn't understand what was going on. And the next time, and then I got the download while I was there, that the next time you return to Budapest, it will be with the love of your life, your absolute soulmate. And at the time, like, I had the worst relationships in the world, right? My upbringing, the way that my dad was, I had a lot of shit going on, and I was attracting some really narcissistic guys. So for me to hear that, to hear like you're going to have a soulmate, I was just like, no. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Sure enough, within a few years, actually shortly after that, I met my now husband, and we returned on our honeymoon back to Budapest. That was one of the places we went for a 6-week honeymoon, and we went back to Budapest, and I took him to my happy place across the water from the Parliament building, and I sat there with him hand in hand with Matt and just breathed and just went, and that's when it actually hit me. I didn't even remember it. I just went, holy shit, I sat here and actually saw this and actually heard this, that you are going to come back here with the love of your life. And I had. And he loved it, and he was so present, and he was so into it. And sure enough, as soon as I let that moment pass, I had another download, and it came through, and it said, your next step is freedom. The next time you return here, you will no longer have a job. And I was like, all right, I like this. And it took another few years. But last year, when my husband and I, we went back, and we were location free, right? My husband quit his job, and it was just my online business funding us. And we left. We packed up everything and flew business class to Europe for the first time, which was so exciting. But we got there. We got to Budapest, and once again, I took him back. We went and sat across the water from the Parliament building, and I sat there and went, "Holy shit! Once again, we're here, and I am now free. I have now retired my husband, and we are traveling the world. Holy shit! I am now free. I don't have to ever go back to a job."
Wow.
And sure enough, we sat there for another few minutes. I let that sink in. I let that gratitude sink into me, and then I said, wow, I'm really ready for the next download. And I opened my eyes, and the first thing I saw was this boat crossing the water in front of us with the name Prestige.
Wow.
And I was just like, holy shit, that's it. I found the love of my life. I have my soulmate, my absolute twin flame for life. He's the most incredible person in the world and my partner in everything that we do. I have now freedom of, being able to plan my days and everything on how I want to do. My business is online. I can take it anywhere I want. The next level to get to the end of that question, very long way, was Prestige. You are now ready to take this to a really high level where it is, everything is just elevated. Your impact is elevated. How many people you're able to help is elevated. My lifestyle is elevated. Everything just gets to step up that way. So that is the long answer to what is happening in the next cycle. So I know when I need to go back to Budapest is when I have hit that Prestige, and I get to go back and get the next download. So yeah.
That's amazing. That sends chills, and it's so super cool. What a blessing. I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day and your busy schedule to do this with us, to share your stories. It's been absolutely magnificent. I wish you so much success and all of the magnetic flow into your power for the next cycle, for the next 9 years, next 90 years, 100 years, however long you need to do exactly what it is that you do. May the universe favor you and absolutely get you to where you need to go. I believe in you. I would not bet against these numbers at all. I use them, I have them, I see them, and I absolutely respect their power. And I can't wait to do this again. But when we do this again, I'm going to have a different experience of you, okay? So you're going to listen to me, and you're going to tell me what's wrong with me. And I love to, if you guys are aspiring leaders, get real with this. You need to hire people to help get you through stuff. And coaches are no different. Successful coaches will tell you for sure that you must do that, and you must do that. And so I appreciate enlisting you as someone of value and of worth in my life. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for connecting. I can't wait to see what we create next. This is absolutely beautiful.
Me too. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. This is Bobby Parihar, the Solution Artist, and we appreciate you for being here with us. We will see you guys on the next one, and have a great night, everyone.